Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, police in Idaho have arrested a man who has long been under suspicion. Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow are accused in the disappearance of her children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti is covering this case from Los Angeles.
Police arrived at Chad Daybell's house Tuesday morning with shovels and backup. 20 members of the FBI.
Investigators discovered what appeared to be unidentified human remains, and an autopsy will be conducted.
Authorities were carrying out a search warrant connected to the disappearance of the then 7-year-old JJ and 17-year-old Tylee. According to Rich Robertson, a private investigator hired by JJ's grandparents, all the digging appeared to be in one location,
which suggests that they had some information that led them to a specific part of the property.
Roads around the property were shut down and Daybell handcuffed.
There he is!
Shortly after the remains were discovered, Chad Daybell was taken into custody and booked into the Fremont County Jail.
The development comes more than 3 months after the children's mother and Daybell's new wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, was arrested for defying a court order to prove her children were alive. The couple has refused to tell police where they are. This is the last known image of JJ taken last September. Tylee was last seen earlier that month in Yellowstone National Park. Their mother was extradited to Idaho in March from Hawaii, where the couple had relocated right after they married. At the time, police wanted to speak to them about the children and Chad's former wife, who had died suddenly just 2 weeks before Chad and Lori's wedding. Her death is also under investigation. Results of an autopsy are pending.
Daybell's home was first searched in January, but at the time, that yard was covered by snow. JJ's grandparents released a statement saying it is a difficult time for their family. They are awaiting word with heavy hearts. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And Daybell is making his first appearance in court today. Well, a Kalispell murder suspect was shot and killed by police last night when he began shooting at them after a high-speed chase. Police received reports the 58-year-old suspect had killed a woman, and when officers attempted to stop him, he took off. The chase ended west of Kalispell when the suspect drove over spike strips on Highway 35. He then opened fire on the police, and they shot back. The suspect allegedly killed a woman earlier on Tuesday.
My deputy spike stripped the tires on the suspect vehicle. They traveled another half mile. The vehicle ended up going sideways. The deputy pinned the car. By the initial report, is the suspect opened fire on the deputy, and then the deputy and the Montana Highway Patrol that pulled up there, they returned fire.
No officers were injured in that shootout. The Montana Division of Criminal Investigation is currently investigating both shootings. Well, a Billings firefighter was dragged close to 100 yards last night after a drunk driver crashed through a blocked-off road in the Billings Heights. The fire department put up cones on Bench Boulevard so a power company could work on a transformer. Well, police say just after 8 o'clock last night, 23-year-old Eli Rindall crashed through the cones, hit and drug a firefighter. Rindall was arrested and faces charges of DUI and criminal endangerment. The firefighter was treated for his injuries at the scene. A protest in Whitefish turned ugly last week after a local man confronted demonstrators.
You know what? I see free tours. Won't you do this, dude?
In this video shared on social media, 51-year-old Jay Snowden is seen and heard yelling profanities at the group supporting Black Lives Matter. Whitefish police arrested him for disorderly conduct. Now, in the video and in this photo also going viral, Samantha Francine is seen standing up eye to eye with Snowden as he berates her. She's now talking about her experience and says she knew she had to be a voice for her community.
The words of my father that he used to speak to us as children when he would talk about, keeping us safe and all that stuff when we were children, he used to tell us that no matter what the threat, always look them in the eye, so they have to acknowledge that you're human. And in that moment, I felt that, I heard that, and I lived it. And I made sure I took off my sunglasses to look at that man, and I did it.
The Whitefish mayor issued a statement saying the city of Whitefish condemns actions of hatefulness and bigotry and stands by Francine. Well, it's now time to check in on the weather scene with meteorologist Ed McIntosh. Good afternoon, Ed. What do you have to tell us today?
How about snow?
Oh.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about how much snow there is or isn't, depending on where you are in the state. And you can see where on the shaded areas where we still have some higher elevation snow that still needs to melt out and fill the rivers and streams. Here's where we are based on the average for this time of the year. You can see northern Wyoming is already totally dried out, and it's drier than average through southwest Montana. But west central and northern Montana still has more snow than we would typically see this time of the year in the mountain peaks. All of that wants to start to move down into the rivers and streams, and we're going to give it good reason to. Some really warm temperatures. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right, thanks, Ed. Well, that was actually good snow news, so thank you very much. State health authorities report 8 new confirmed COVID-19 cases across Montana, 2 of them under 9 years old. The girl and boy are from Gallatin County, along with 4 other positives from there today. The other 2 are from Bighorn County. The total of confirmed active cases is at 56, and 7 people are hospitalized across the state. Montana state lawmakers are looking at options for doing some remote voting if COVID-19 impacts the upcoming legislative session. State law says legislators must be present for final votes on bills, but attorneys told the council they have the authority to determine someone is present by phone or video. Lawmakers are looking at ways to improve social distancing and say the session schedule may need to be adjusted. In Wyoming, state health officials are now reporting another death from COVID-19. This brings the state total to 18, the same number of deaths in Montana. The Fremont County woman with pre-existing conditions is the latest to pass away. We've also learned one of Montana's deaths from last month has been linked to the nursing home outbreak in Worland. According to the Wyoming Department of Health, the older woman was a Montana resident, and there's no word how she contracted the virus from the nursing home. Well, for those of you who are looking for a new hiking or biking Montana adventure, listen up. Some Montanan history will convert some old rails into some new trails. The Yellowstone Historic Center and Custer-Gallatin National Forest are teaming up to convert the abandoned Union Pacific Railroad line into a hiking and biking trail. Now, this trail will make up an important section of the Greater Yellowstone Trail and will connect to the Continental Divide Trail. The trail will also include interpretive signage along the way. The goal is to open the Yellowstone Short Line Trail next summer. And if you'd like to learn more and help the project along, you can head to this story at ktvq.com. All donations at or above $100 will receive recognition along the trail. Well, still ahead on today's new news, 2 dogs were on a side of a cliff. It's a story not to miss and one that does have a happy ending. The time now is 12:08, but first Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast.